Hello and welcome to Talking with Famous People. My name is Host Eric, and we are here tonight to talk about a comment that a person named, I think of him as, his name is Yogurt, but his name is not Yogurt. It's like Yegor or something like that. And anyway, he sent me a really interesting link, and we'll get to his comment eventually, but I want to do the comparison to see if his central thesis plays out. It didn't play out for me. Let's see if it plays out for INTP. We're going to look at SE as a fourth function or an SE as a seventh. Which one does Ubi identify with more? Okay, so I'm going to turn off the camera. I'm going to turn on the screen share. I'm going to go to Chrome, and we're going to find SE. SE is suggestive versus vulnerable. So SE as vulnerable, that's in the seventh slot. Oh wait, no, I'm supposed to do, for the equivalent for you, I have to do FE versus I have to do FE for the equivalent. Okay?
No, I don't think so. No, it's SE.
Is it? No, it's not.
Oh, I'm sorry. You are correct. Yes.
Okay, so let me find it real quick. Oops, that's Annie. We can do SE too, though. I'd like to do that one after. So let's do FE first. I'll try to go fast in my reading.
And then maybe we could go to your polar. FI.
That'd be interesting too, yeah. Okay, so FE as vulnerable versus FE as suggestive. Oh, these are shorter ones. That's nice. FE is your seventh function in MBTI numbering. Is the individual finds it very difficult to create harmonious, positive atmosphere. If he likes someone, he may express this by acts of service or helpful advice, but he finds himself stuck and unsure in situations that require him to spontaneously express and creatively apply positive personal sentiments, to judge the ethical content of someone's actions or mend some interpersonal situation. He does not readily voice his warmer types of sentiments, since such displays make him feel self-conscious and vulnerable to painful criticism. This makes the individual generally seem emotionally neutral, personally uninvolved, and politely indifferent. At times, it may seem like he is emotionally blocked or cooped up, quote-unquote, especially to people with FE as one of his ego functions. He is not perceptive or affected by the emotional atmosphere around him, and can easily break it by his personal splash of feelings. The individual also deeply dislikes active attempts by others to influence his internal emotion states, to cheer him up, and to emotionally enliven him, and prefers indirect and respectful expressions of sympathy. That's vulnerable function. That's if FE were in your seventh. According to Myers-Briggs, FE is in your fourth, and according to Socionics too, but not according to Yegor, or at least not according to Yegor's hypothesis. Yegor's not necessarily affirming that. FE is suggestive function. LSI or LIL, logical, intuitive, introvert. That's INTP. The individual often becomes engrossed in serious work, which leads him to neglect his complementary need for fun and emotional release. He also feels vulnerable expressing himself spontaneously in public, which allows bad emotions and stress to build up, leading to depression or sudden hostility. He enjoys being around people who make him feel comfortable expressing himself and who can make every day new and exciting. Although he may present a hard exterior in the company of strangers, he is likely to not be serious at all with people who know him better. His behavior changes radically. A calm and serious, structured person will become suddenly warm and jovial.
Okay. I mean, I don't agree with either of them completely, but I definitely relate to the FE as suggestive function more, the one that would be appropriate for an INTP. The FE is a vulnerable function. That sounds very much like an INTJ to me, which is where it would be.
Yep, exactly.
But the specific points on the FE as a suggestive function that I don't agree with, I don't have problems with expressing myself spontaneously in public, but that's something that I've built. I used to. I don't anymore.
Right, and I think it's important that we sometimes remember to consider sort of a non-individual default person named INTP, who sort of behaves in stereotypical fashions as a means of understanding how we may have, for example, overcome some of our own clumsinesses in certain areas. They might say, "Oh, Eric, you don't have FI in the seventh slot. People with FI in the seventh slot wouldn't be so full of crying or something. I don't know. But it may be because I've made an attempt to accept those things, you know? Or maybe it is conditional with it. I don't know. But the point is, that's it.
I see what you're saying, and I agree. But I also I think what you were just hinting on. Yeah, you do got to be careful on creating a structure that you end up adhering to over instead of.
That doesn't ever happen. I've heard this argument so many times. That's such bullshit. It never possibly happens. Certainly not for me. It might happen for other types. The notion that I could possibly be constrained by my own mental box is insane.
Okay, well, maybe for you, but I don't know. That might not be true for others.
Not just for me. I think for ENTPs in general. It's a weird idea.
Yeah.
It strikes us as wrong intuitively. Because what you're saying is, like, oh, well, if I understand myself as being a consciousness that alternates between these manners of attention that are conscious, and that does not employ the following manners of attention in conscious ways, I can metacognate my way out of that, right? No problem. It's a matter of thinking, well, how would it look like if I did have that manner of attention? I can imagine, I can put myself in the spot of what it would feel like to be an ISFJ without too much problem, because my mom was one, and I know what that sort of mental processes goes like. It's a series of conversations with oneself. But and I think a lot of types are a series of conversations with oneself. It's with an imaginary other, usually, if you're an extroverted feeler. And so the scripts of those conversations and such are real tendencies. And so but they're not tendencies that you're going to say, oh, good, now I can only do that. The fact that you're now consciously aware of it and going, oh, I do have those tendencies, it unavoidably opens up the person to considering the legitimacy of the other tendencies, because you see them now as tendencies and habits rather than as beliefs. This weird ghost of an idea that we have of a belief, a thing that we cling to that is something that you, between knowing and being completely nonsense, right? Somewhere between knowing and being nonsense, there's belief. Well, a belief, of course, is just a behavior. You're engaged in a believing behavior, or a behavior that's predicated upon some accepted or assumed facts or truths or whatever, you know.
I mean, I agree with pretty much everything you said. I just, I guess what I'm trying to say is, you have this description that tells you, for instance, with an ENTP, you guys trip up with FE all the time, or SI, and then, yes, you observe it in yourself. You might observe it in yourself, that's true. So it correlates with the system, with the description. But then with a lot of types, and with...
Me too.
Then with maybe you too, then you believe it, and you keep doing it, and then you keep observing it in yourself, and then it's like self-defeating thoughts about it, and it just keeps going.
No, first of all, you made a couple of arguments there. The first one is a clear argument. The second one is a different argument. So let's take them one at a time. The first one you said is that you start to believe it. Well, what you start to understand is that you have to frame it through some way. What you've yet to understand is that you can't choose a frame-free existence. You can't. Relativism is its own frame. You think you're out the box, but you're not.
I'm sorry, the way that you worded it, I guess I'm not, understanding exactly what you're saying.
Well, look. What you're saying is you shouldn't try to frame things through this framework, because you might get stuck in this framework. Oh, thank you, Callum. I need to do that. You might get stuck in this framework. And if you do, that's called belief. And so now you're thinking self-defeating thoughts or whatever else you might do with those quote-unquote beliefs. Well, first of all, you're already stuck in a framework. And the framework is one that doesn't allow you to notice the fact that relativism is just as restrictive a framework as ascription to any given particular framework. Which is
what do you mean exactly by relativism, please?
What I mean exactly by relativism is when you say there are risks in ascribing to this framework. namely in saying, okay, oh, I'm an ENTP, therefore I have these functions, I have these limitations and these strengths, and I'm going to act out that character. I'm going to believe this framework and somehow be constrained or limited because I believe it. Okay, that's basically your argument here. Or some other type, maybe not you, Eric, maybe some other type. It doesn't matter. Whatever. The mechanism is what's at play here, not the individuals. So, okay, the next thing to think about then is what's presumed in there. You're presumed that you're not trapped currently in a framework, but you are. That framework is called relativism, one that doesn't understand how you have to ascribe to a given framework in every moment to the extent that you have any intellectual engagement with it. Choosing to engage in all moments through a relativist framework as your meta framework is to be a level down from where you need to be. You've got to have a meta framework that has you bounce between believing through the lens of the different frameworks actively, not dismissing them because they're limiting, but understanding that all frameworks, including the one you're thinking through right now, are necessarily limiting. You have to utilize the limitations of the frameworks in order to focus your energy in the same way that metered verse focuses the truth of poetry by limiting its form.
So, but by those descriptions and what you were saying, I didn't disagree with you. Like, I can see the point of the descriptions and the point of noticing the habits of your type and all that. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you watch, like, for instance, almost it's inevitable in all of your videos, you're often commenting on your lack of SI and your lack of FE, but it's like, why does it always have to be that lack?
Okay, so first of all, on lots of my videos, I'm commenting about positive stuff too. But let's say, forget about any of that question. Let's just say I was talking about my lack of SI a lot. What instead, if I were saying in these videos, instead of mentioning about SI at all, just saying, God, my house is messy. I'm such a fucking horrible person. I can't believe I'm not keeping up with this shit. Jesus Christ, Eric, what's fucking wrong with you? Why are you so undisciplined? God. Would that be better?
No, I'm not.
That's the alternative.
No.
That's the actual alternative.
No, I mean,
not having any explanation for why I've sucked at this since birth. That's the actual alternative, is not having any explanation for why I've sucked at this since birth.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're aware of something, then you can always change it. You're not a slave to your habits unless you keep doing
I
habits.
didn't say I am a slave to those habits. In fact, the only way I can understand how to metacognate out of those habits, and to a certain extent I'm trying to find ways around this. I mean, for example, I've tried to combine NE and SI. So what does that mean? Make videos about me cleaning up so that I can play while cleaning up. Now, you might say, well, the problem, Eric, is that you just don't have any discipline. You need to fucking apply yourself. And that's why you're not doing that. No, it's because I want to play instead. That's why I'm not doing that. It's because I much prefer playing. Why do I much prefer playing? Oh, that's right, because I'm NE-DOM on an NE-SI axis. That's the explanation I'm using. You got a better one?
No, but that person that you're arguing against is the imaginary script in your head that you just made up. I didn't say any of that. You did. You just said you might say that you have no discipline, Eric, and blah blah. But I didn't.
Okay, I did say you might say that. Are you disputing the truth of that statement? That you might say that? Okay, maybe you can dispute the truth that you might not ever say that. One might say that, and you did make the point. I'm not saying that you're affirming the point. I'm arguing against it nevertheless, and that's okay. In fact, it's to be encouraged, because that way we can determine which points are correct and which points are incorrect. So the point that you made, that I am asserting here, is incorrect, whether you affirm it or not. I know you want to maintain this sort of relativist distance from it so you don't have to actually affirm or reject a position. Whether or not you affirm or reject this position, I am rejecting it. In fact, it is not at all limiting for people to know more about their cognitive functions. In fact, it's only and always liberating unless you're actively looking for excuses in the first place. If you are, you can find them in lots of different places.
I get what you're saying. I didn't say any of that. I didn't say that it was bad to learn about cognitive functions.
I didn't say you said that. I didn't say you said that. I said you proposed that it was possible. Now, I'm not saying you even affirmed the statement. Did you or did you not propose that it was possible that somebody might be limited by framing things with this framework?
Yes, Yes, I propose that there is a possibility that studying this stuff can harm you.
Okay, I know. That's what I'm responding to.
Okay, so I posited that as a possibility, and you're saying that's not a possibility? Just so I understand your argument.
I'm giving you a situation in which it is. Unless, and which is unless you're looking for excuses to begin with for bad behavior. In other words, you're actively trying to continue to persist in bad behavior that you don't like and that's harming you for some reason because of like a disorder like cutting yourself or bulimia or one of those kind of disorders. Um, Unless you're like that kind of a thing going on, then I will assert that correct. Never will it constrain you, always will it liberate you.
I mean, there's many things that happen, like just in the last few videos where you say or another user use a general term, like, I don't really like ISFPs, or I don't understand ISFPs, or like, because you generalize when you meet an ISFP, someone, let's say you meet an individual in real life, you
Mm-hmm.
type them as an ISFP in your head, and then everything that you know about ISFPs, you impose on that individual. So you
Doesn't work
impose
like
an
that.
image.
Simply doesn't work like that. It's the other way around. I suspect, I think you might be an ISFP. And over time, their behavior either makes me more convinced of that or less convinced of that. I don't get locked into shape because I'm not a judging Dom,
Well,
right? I'm
I
a
got you.
perceiving
Okay,
Dom.
well, let's say this though. So then you start justifying why you don't like certain behaviors or something, and you can even use the cognitive functions, like you say, like, oh, well, I'm an NESI axis, and they're a.
Why do you presume I wouldn't justify them in the absence of this model?
No, I'm not saying you don't, but I've heard you do it, and I've heard you do it.
But
So,
you're
like, that's
trying
all
to
I'm
make a
saying is
link between the model and the behavior. I'm saying there's no such link.
between the model and the behavior of what? The behavior of you judging the person,
Justifying stuff,
or just
either justifying or judging. I'm saying that it is a lens that diminishes the justification of bad behavior and justification and judging of others overall in time. It makes it difficult for you to judge people in that fashion anymore because you see their perspectives as fundamentally equally legitimate to your own. That's the egalitarian force behind the model that's unavoidable in the long run, and that overwhelms any of these sort of mild little manifestations of the already existing tendency to judge and to justify one's own bad behavior that chooses to find this vehicle to express itself. It's not the vehicle to blame. The vehicle's all good.
yeah. Okay, I'm not blaming the vehicle though. Okay, I'm just letting you know. I wasn't blaming the functions, the cognitive functions, or the models. I was saying it is a possibility for someone to use this tool in a bad way, just
And
like any other
unless
tool.
unless they choose to do so intentionally as a way of persisting, as before indicated, I'm saying no, that's not right. You're wrong about that.
But they don't have to do it intentionally. They can do it subconsciously. Go on the INTJ forum or the INTP forum or whatever,
I'm
and look at
saying that
people
won't happen.
judging the hell out of people
Listen,
because of
I'm
their
saying those
types.
are very judgy people who are choosing to judge from that using this group division. But unlike every other group division, it is not a class issue. It's not a race issue. It's not something that you can actually divide people by because why? Because people of all different types are INTJs. People of all different sorts are INTPs, etc. Okay? Now look, the other reality is in society, there are not very many INTJs. So when they do get together and they act like buffoons and act like assholes for whatever reason, then so be it. That means like, thank God we can act like assholes against the other types finally because we all experience an equivalent oppression. Now as an INTP, you don't experience as much oppression as the ENTP does. I promise you that. Get Trenton in here and he'll tell you about it. You know, we ENTPs have a hard time of it. Why? Because we're abrasive, we're loud, we talk too much. And, early on especially, we're insanely clumsy with the FE stuff. That's why. It's a good explanation. And it's better than not knowing, and it's better than a bad explanation.
So do you like? I'm just curious. So do you, everything you just said sounds a lot like the whole like Black Lives Matter and like all that. Like the whole victim. Like I have as an
Nope.
ENTP, I go through this.
Not
That's
like that.
listen, but everything you just said though
No,
was
it
like
doesn't.
because
Listen,
I'm an
it's. Let
ENTP
me
and
explain
I
why.
stuck with FE.
Let me explain
You
why.
keep
Let me
saying it. You
explain
keep saying
why.
I
Let me
stuck with
explain
FE.
why, so you can stop with your unproductive objecting. It's because you choose your fucking type. That's why. I don't tell other people what type they are. They tell me.
Well, I mean, okay, I'm confused about that point. Sorry, like why? You mean, but don't you?
I don't challenge your identity as an INTP. I might say, oh, that sounds like what I'm familiar with. That doesn't sound like what I'm familiar with. It might inform my definition of INTP. It might inform my opinion about your own self-definition. But either way, you decide your type. You're coming here as a representative of an INTP. Why? Is it because your skin's dark? Is it because you got a vagina?
No, it's for the same reasons that you identify as an ENTP. You've observed yourself in correlation with this system of thought and watched your habits and your thoughts and the way that you judge and perceive, and you find which one that seems to best fit you as a system.
Right.
I mean, but just to note, the other night when I was on, you were trying to tell me I was a different type here, just because I had expressed
I
a
said, can I
moment
type
of.
you? I said, can I type you? Right?
Oh, yeah, you did all that. I'm saying this was like a night or two ago. You said
But
I expressed a moment of empathy, and you said, "Whoa, wait, you're using feelings? You're an ENFP." That's
okay,
literally what you did because
that's a joke. First of all, but
no,
second of all, even if it weren't, I'm saying you seem like this, right? I am not telling you. If you tell me you're an INTP, I will always refer to you as an INTP. The only person that I've brought a little bit of fight back on is my type mate, fucking Bo, who tries to insist he's an INTP, even though he's, to my opinion, clearly an ENTP. Now, here's the thing. I can smell people who are the same type as me that are almost exactly the same brain. You look at Trenton and me, side by side, that's me when I was fucking 18 years old. That is me. It's the same fucking brain. Now, there's a simple, obvious, look in front of your fucking eyes kind of empirics that suggests to me we're not two unique brains. It's us two, and we're the only ones that have this brain. No, it's actually fairly common. Accepting the non-uniqueness of your brain, INTPs in general, is a struggle. I get you there eventually.
the non-uniqueness of my brain.
That's called rhetorical flourish. Do you like rhetorical flourish? I don't think you like rhetorical flourish. I'm getting the sense.
No, I'm sorry. To be honest, I'm not trying to be rude. I had another train of thought in my head going as you were talking, so it's just an
Ubi,
attention thing.
Ubi, no worries about being rude. All right, we're both NTPs. All right, let's call this video a close. I don't even have any idea what we started talking about, but Ubi and I are fighting with each other. I'll tell you that. I mean, Ubi and I. Sorry, I didn't do that on
I don't
purpose.
think we're fighting.
I agree. We're having
hold
fun.
on. Can we continue this for 2 minutes? I want to say something.
We're at 23 minutes. Sure, go ahead. You got 2
Okay.
minutes.
All right.
At the end of it, say, thanks for watching and Talking People. At the very end of it, say, this has been Host Ubi, and thanks for watching Talking Famous People. And we'll end it right there. Okay, go.
Okay. All I'm saying is, I don't think from looking at the beginning of our conversation, where this came from, I really don't think we have a disagreement. Or I can't find what you're seeing. So, like, that's all I'm saying. And I think I wasn't judging the model itself. I just, like any tool, I think it can be used badly. That was all I was saying. And all I was trying to do was crystallize, come down to what you thought I thought, like, and where the judgment was coming from.
You're asking the wrong guy, dude. I have no idea what you think.
I'm just saying that was originally, I just wanted to say that for the whole argument, because I really don't think we're arguing, and I think if we were to rewatch this video after it was posted, I think you would be able to see we're just kind of talking around each other, and there really wasn't a disagreement. Like,
I was trying to pin you down, and you were playing watery INTP. That's the fucking truth of the matter. I cannot stop myself from shutting up. Hurry up.
It's okay.
Go.
Okay. Thank you for watching Talking with Famous People. This was Host Eric and Host Ubi. Eat more cheese.